Not sure how many of you are feeling the shift in energy, in the energy and consciousness now, in these days. Are you getting downloads? Are you questioning, your life and your choices, the thoughts going on in your mind? Are you noticing changes in your physical body, in your habits, in your diet choices, energy levels, things like this? Because there's a lot that's happening, on the planet, energy wise. And those that have been watching my earlier videos will know that we've been talking about this, we've been leading up to this energy. And so in all of my videos I've been talking about how to be able to, understand, become aware, and ground this energy in, to be able to use it for our growth and evolution. And this is the energy that the planet is come into. I wouldn't even say coming in, we've already made this shift. The shift has already happened, energy wise, and humanity is now, trying to catch up. That is what is happening there. What we've been so long calling spiritual practices is now going to become a way of life. It's going to become a very common thing now, because of the awareness that is happening, or the opening up of the mind, the consciousness opening up of the awareness that is happening. So in this video I wanted to talk about how to flow with this energy, and how to bring it in and ground it into our lives, make it part of the flow of our lives. So through this topic I wanted to give an understanding, to be able to merge, what we've been looking at as, or thinking of as, spiritual practices, and how we can, make it part of our day-to-day life. Like the just to give you an overall idea, and then how you take that idea and use it in your day-to-day life is like totally up to you. So the spiritual journey can be as complex as you want it to be, or as simple as you want it to be. And this I am talking from experience, because I know people that have had that have very strict, very rigorous, very rigid practices for, their intentions and goals that they want to achieve in their lives. And I know people that have these strict practices because they feel like that is, like it has to be that way. And for me personally, I've had a lot of guilt around this area, because like I do not have a physical discipline in my life. Like I allow things to flow as per my energy levels, as per my moods, as per my intuition in that time, in that moment. So I don't really have like a structured physical structure in my life. But to say that I have no discipline is completely wrong, because there's a lot of mental discipline that I hold, in the sense of how I approach situations, or like not getting diverted, not letting the external take me off my goal of connecting with that source, if that makes sense. And I've now realized that life doesn't have to be difficult, the process doesn't have to be difficult. Life is already difficult. The moment you choose to do something better for yourself, you're going to be faced with plenty of situations that are going to make that choice difficult for you. So life is already difficult. uh, for me, I feel I like to choose processes that come to me easily, so that I do not have to strain, stress, struggle with getting into alignment. Something that flows easy for me is what I like to do. for me, the mental work, the energy work through the mind works easier for me when I have purpose to my actions. So I like to have the change happen from the mind and then trickle down into the actions that need to follow for that intention. This way, this process helps to build your intuition, and so I find it easier to work in that way. So, this is basically what I wanted to say. It doesn't really matter what the actions on the outside are, as long as your three fundamentals are in place and you're doing things that are in alignment with those three fundamentals, that will guide you into situations that will help you elevate towards that goal or intention that you have. And I know a lot of people are going to connect with this, because not all of us, and I'm not saying good or bad or anything over here, I'm just saying each person their own capacity of how much you can do and what you enjoy doing, right? So a longer rigorous practice actually gives you more time to conjure in more energy, to harness and grow more energy. But ADHD people like that, maybe it's the ADHD, I don't know, but people like us, we need it to because the focus is short. But I don't think it takes away anything from the level of energy that you bring into the practice, because your intentions are still working. I hope I'm not going off topic right now. One thing that I do on a constant basis is meditation. So whether I'm actually meditating or not, I will at least make it a practice to sit in that space every day, so as to not lose that connection. That's the last connection. If I stop sitting there, then that's going to take a long time to come back. And over practice, mistake, error after error, I realize I do not want that connection takes very long to come back, and I do not want to spend the energy in trying to bring that back. So I try to keep the minimum to, the days I'm feeling the meditation, I'm in meditation. The days I'm not feeling, I'm just sitting there, my mind's all over the place, but at least I've done my basic. And because of the intention, it works. Okay, so I've understood that magic and alchemy, these are all actually a spell work, okay? These are all actually intentions, okay? You set an intention to achieve something, and then everything on the outside is actually used to enhance, to amplify that intention. So basically, the main source of that magic is within, it's in your intention. I don't know, this is my understanding. If anybody has a different version of it, then probably put it in the comments or whatever. But I feel like source energy, divine love, this is the foundation to have that connection. You can do all the rituals and things, but you will not be able to truly make the connection for yourself, within yourself, in a way where you can call upon source energy to work with you, work for you. Because from here everything else spreads out. So your actions, your intentions, your frequency, your energy, all that comes from is the understanding of divine love and what divine love is. I've already talked about it in one of my videos, so you can find that on my channel. Like I said, this is so vast. I've broken them down into bits and pieces that help bring the whole picture together. So I hope that idea is working. I also realized that because everything is cause and effect, that if you come from love, it cannot go wrong. So even in that moment, maybe in that moment, the reciprocation or the response to your expression of love is not met, or could be met in a negative way, but that does not take away from you choosing to be love in that moment. And so it will always generate, like, whatever other people do to you is their karma, and what you generate from your actions and your intentions is your karma, right? And also, I've realized that coming from divine love, when you start to flow from this energy, it causes a protection, a divine protection around you, which allows you to be more of this love energy, to a point where you don't no longer have to be conscious of the people that you're interacting with and people hurting you, because you will no longer attract those kind of people, that kind of frequency, that kind of energy. Of course, the beginning of this is difficult, because the moment you decide to, practice being divine love or practice love, you will have more people in situations that are going to tempt you into choosing the old ways and choosing the old patterns. And that exact moment is your test, if you can continue to choose love no matter how difficult it is, no matter how irrational, no matter how illogical it is, because a lot of people will tell you a lot of things in that time. But if you can have confidence that you are coming from your highest version of love, then you are able to engrave that love into your physical structure, where, like, because of repeating the choices, you start to clear off the negative energy, and you start attracting more positive people and situations. A lot of times on this journey, when you're opening the heart space, we come from a fear-based mentality, so we have grown up in the energy of fear and having to consider everybody and walking on eggshells and things like that. But when you open up the heart space, you will realize that certain situations, places, people call for you to be a version of love, and where everybody else will tell you this is a bad decision, this is a bad choice. But there is something within you that knows that you need to approach this, place, person, situation, whatever, from a place of love. Because if you are trying to meet fear with fear, then, like, I mean, you can, but that's not what we're doing. That's not the purpose. That defeats the purpose, right? We are trying to meet fear with love, so that love energy could activate something in the other person. It does not have to be an immediate activation, but it does, like I said, it reflects the inside of you, reflects the outside, and that's how your environment falls into place in alignment with that goal and that intention. So if we are trying to create a calm and peaceful environment, and we go around hating on people, then you're literally doing the opposite of what it is that you want to call into your life. Okay, so even if you are meeting aggression with love, um, you know the, love, the energy of love does not always mean that the other person is going to perceive it as love. People might get triggered by it, people might get annoyed by it also. And that causes people to, no matter how loving you are, some people are just like, this is not my kind of person, and they will just fall off the track. You don't even need to do anything, and that's because their version of love does not align with your version of love. Okay, so that's how you don't need to be somebody else's version to be accepted, or for people to come towards you. That's how you vibrate your frequency, and what needs to stay stays, and what needs to leave leaves in a very automatic way. Once you're in the flow, again I'm telling you, once you're in the flow, because when this is starting, everything is difficult in the beginning, but we need to make that choice. So once you start to flow with it, then life starts to get easy. So while divine love or love is the base or the foundation, authenticity is the key to making this connection. Why? Because you can only experience your spiritual connection to the capacity you can experience yourself, because you're trying to merge with that frequency. Okay, so to be able to merge, both frequencies have to be on the same vibration. To be on the same vibration, there has to be certain energetic signatures, certain natures, habits, things, aspects of your self, your personality, that will mirror that, will call in that frequency and mirror it. Okay, so when you are authentic, if and why I say authenticity is because, like, that vibration, you cannot fake it. So you might tell everybody, and you might tell yourself something about yourself that is not true, trying to convince yourself. But if it is not true, within yourself you know that, and your energy will always reflect it. Okay, so it's very important to be authentic, to understand our own selves and our authenticity, to be able to make this connection. And the third thing is trust. Trust, I feel like, is the chariot that carries us through all of this. This keeps pushing us through, each limitation that we set on ourselves. Where there's so much buildup of energy. When your energy is like this, there's a lot of downloads happening, and you have to sit in the time where you have to let the energy do what it needs to do, um, and change what it needs to change, whether you understand it or not. But because we're human, and we don't know, and we want to control everything, and we want to know everything, and we want things to, we start getting impatient very fast. Then that's when you start to wonder if any of it was actually real or not. Okay, and that's when you need to bring yourself back and come back to the faith, come back to the trust. Like I said, trust is your chariot. It will carry you through moments where you feel like this is not making sense, but having trust will take you through those moments until you start to see the sense in it. So while all of this is happening in the mind, my life from the outside tends to look like I've let go of myself, or at times I've let go of myself, I've let go of things, um, like as if I'm always lost in my own world. It looks a lot of things from the outside, depending on who you are and what your personality is. It looks like a lot of things from the outside, but this is when you need to remember that this is what it looks like on the outside, because of this kind of work that is happening on the inside. I feel like I realize that when you use that much mental energy, it pulls from your physical body. It has to, obviously. So you start to feel drained, okay, because you're consuming the energy in your mind. And so it's important to remember that this is how it's looking like from the outside, but you know what is happening, you know what you're doing. If you know what you are doing and why it's looking like that, then the outside image should not you should not be impacted by what people are seeing on the outside. It's not their fault for what they are seeing on the outside, because they don't know what you're doing on the inside. But you that doesn't mean that we need to go to everybody and explain. You can, but how much can you really? And but knowing that you know what you're doing and you know what is necessary for the moment, and whether it is necessary, sometimes we can go to extremes where I need to do this, so I need to do this, and then you're not bothered about your environment. Again, spirituality is not, it's a place where you make choices and you take decisions that are for the self, but then it's also for everybody. Like, whatever is the best choice, that is a win-win situation for both parties at that time. So depending on that, and also again, so this is why there's no black and white, because also at that time the situation might be such that you have to make a choice that's only about you, and that's also fine. So yeah, you need to have that maturity and the ability to judge, and to be able to have a sound judgment of what your actions are going to be and how they are going to, what are the consequences going to be like in the future, because that is exactly what you're doing. Every moment of your life you have decided to plant seeds of goodwill, or plant good seeds throughout small actions in your day, so that when they all add up, then you see the bigger picture and see how it's all forming together towards this intention of yours. So another thing, because you really cannot see where you are when you're like in the problem, in the process, in the process of evolution, in the process of growth, because that is the moment when you're going through a lot of stuff, like dealing with a lot of all of these shifts and changes and emotions and moods and people and situations and things like that. That's the moment you don't see who you are and where you are, because you're going through it. But once you come out of these situations, if you sit back and take stock of what happened, you would realize how these situations aligned for you or helped you, or what it taught you, what it taught you about yourself, about the situation, if it highlighted any skills, if there was things about, like, sometimes we take actions when you're in the flow. This happens a lot, that you take actions in the moment, and then when you later sit back and think about it, you realize that as generally you as a person would not say, do, be that, but then in the moment it just happened, like something takes over and you do what is necessary to be done, and then the situation, like, it turns out to be in your favor, it turns out to be a good thing, right? So these are moments when, after you go through that storm, when you're sitting and doing that, and this is why self-analysis is so important, to know how you are elevating through every lesson you are facing, every situation, every difficult moment that you are facing. How are you elevating? What has changed? What have you learned? When you're learning and evolving, and you come across repeated lessons, something that happens is you start questioning whether you're on the right track, or what did you not learn, why did you need to go through this again, why did you need to learn this again. What I've understood from this is repeated lessons, repeated cycles, and repeated situations. This happens because the soul is going through mastery, self mastery. So when situations are repeated and we consciously make the same choices, take the same actions, we are engraving a pattern into our system, into our brains, our memory, our DNA. Those are choices that we make, consciously make, until it becomes part of us, and then whatever flows from there is attached to these conscious choices that we decided to make over and over again until they become part of our memory. Okay, so when we go through repeated lessons and situations, this is mastery of self, because you have gone through the situation before and you've made certain choices before and they turned out in certain ways. Now with that information and that knowledge that the situation has come back, there is surely more for you or different for you to see, know, be, or do. Okay, when you look at what is different over there, and then you make new choices, you learn new things about yourself, or you before, where you couldn't exhibit self-control in a situation, now that the situation has come back again, now you can prepare yourself to say, okay, I've done this before, it didn't work, I'm not going to do it, make a different choice. This is why we have repeated lessons. This is how repeated lessons and cycles teach us self mastery, and through which there's a shift and a change in your physical structure also, in the sense that if you because the journey calls for you to open your heart center, because it calls for divine love, so you have to open your heart chakra. The opening the heart center, which means like increasing your frequency in your heart space. Your heart space is connected to all the organs in that area, so your lungs, your heart, all of those things. And so when the frequency is enhanced or heightened, it is obviously going to affect the functioning or the health of these organs also. So that is how that is how it changes our DNA structure. This is just one example of it. All right, so when you are trying to open up that heart space, um, you are going to have to confront a lot of memories, a lot of emotions, a lot of aspects of yourself, and how you are holding on to things that no longer serve you, how you are contributing to things that no longer serve you. Yes, people, situations have put you in certain places, but at this moment in time, do you still need to be there, or can you make a change? Okay, that's a choice that we have all of the time, like throughout the day. That's a choice we have. And to be able to know this and remind ourselves, and to be able to take advantage of this, is the journey. It's a constant reminder, because a lot of distractions happen when we make those choices. A lot of things come up to make us change our decisions, or change our mind about things. But can we really stay grounded in what we believe and what we want and what our intention, what our goal is? Yes, it's a very slow process. It's a slow process because it's a process that grounds you into it. It makes you create from the self. And what happens when you create from the self is that nobody can take that away from you. So yes, it's a slow process, but it brings in stability, and it's a process that works. All this sounds like too much, but people that are consciously choose to, or are like, maybe you don't know that you have chosen this journey, but these are things that you are feeling and you're wondering why you're feeling this. Then maybe this is something that is happening. This is time for you to, you're part of the process. and you're coming into alignment, and knowing this information helps you flow or understand how to flow with the energy, so you can either flow or you can fight it, depending on what you choose over here. Yeah, so again, the journey is a choice you make purely for yourself, so you are willing to do what is needed for that self's growth and evolution into calm, peace, and divine flow. And I feel like outside these three things, everything else is a byproduct of us trying to ground these three fundamentals into our lives, where we begin to flow with this energy. When you become conscious, then you intentionally work towards something. So becoming conscious of these little things and little habits and little changes, for me, that is the work I put towards my practice. So what happens in between maintaining all this, for me, is a lot of inner work and shadow work. Okay, so because I want to work from the mind, so inner work, shadow work, these things become a very these things are this flows naturally for me, right? So I do a lot of inner work and I do a lot of shadow work because i I think a lot. So I'm constantly analyzing, understanding, and my thoughts, my day, my life, and those that understand shadow work and those that are doing it would understand how you look at yourself so deeply, and the version of you think who you are, and the version of who you actually are, and where you see the misalignment, and then you do things that you would need to do to fix that alignment. And this happens constantly on a day-to-day basis. You're constantly noticing and becoming aware of everything that is not who you should be or what you should do if you have X intention for X thing. Then, you know, being that match for that thing. That is what I wanted to talk about in this video. So, yeah, thank you for watching. Love and light.